Hello and welcome back everyone. My name is Heriberto Eddie Ramirez and welcome to our presentation on traditional metadata and metadata in library science. Today, we'll be discussing the history, uses, and examples of metadata, particularly within the context of library science and how that pertains to use in other areas such as within education. But before we dive into the specifics of metadata in library science, let's start with a brief introduction to metadata itself. Metadata can be defined as data about data. It is the information that describes, identifies, and contextualizes various types of resources such as documents, images, videos, or datasets. Metadata is crucial for organizing, managing, and retrieving information, especially in the digital age. Metadata plays a significant role in a variety of domains, from digital libraries to archives, to search engines and social media platforms. In each of these contexts, metadata serves different purposes and provides valuable insights into the resources it describes. For example, metadata can help users discover relevant content on the internet or enable archivists to preserve and manage historical records. Additionally, in the context of library science, metadata is essential for organizing, managing, and discovering library resources. It helps users find the materials they need and facilitates the efficient management of library collections. Throughout this presentation, we will explore the different types of metadata used in library science, their historical development, and their practical applications. In the next few slides, we'll delve into the history of metadata in library science from early cataloging systems to modern classification schemes. We will then discuss the main types of metadata used in library classification, along with their specific uses and examples. Lastly, we will touch upon the challenges and future trends in metadata management within library science. As we proceed through this presentation, as we proceed through this presentation and the upcoming presentations, I hope to provide you with a comprehensive understanding of the importance and evolution of metadata in library science, as well as its practical applications in organizing and managing library resources. So, now that we have a general understanding of metadata, let's focus on its role in library science. Metadata is a crucial aspect of library classification and management because it enables users to locate and retrieve relevant materials within the library. It serves several purposes in this context. Firstly, organizing. Think about organization. Metadata helps systemically arrange resources, making them more accessible and easier to find. Secondly, think about it in terms of management. Metadata allows us to manage data by providing information that aids in the administration and preservation of library resources, ensuring long-term accessibility. And thirdly, let's talk about discovering. Metadata allows users to search and retrieve resources based on specific criteria, such as keywords, subject matter, or authorship. By fulfilling these roles, metadata significantly contributes to the efficient functioning of libraries and supports the mission of providing access to information and knowledge for users. But I will stop right here just for a second to start with a caveat. From here on out, there will be a few names. Now, to save in terms of efficiency and time, I'll only be referring to probably the first three letters. So, for example, one of the things you'll see right now is, after the EG, is Pinnacus by Callimachus. Instead, you will probably just hear me say pin. So, instead of having to repeat the entire word or name and then say who it's by, I'll only be saying pin from here on out. To better appreciate the importance of metadata in library science, let's take a brief look at its history. The concept of organizing and cataloging library resources dates back to ancient times. One of the earliest known examples is the pin, a Greek scholar who created a subject-based catalog of the Library of Alexandria's holdings in the 3rd century BCE. The development of modern library classification systems began in the 19th century with the invention of several influential schemes. One of the most notable is the Dewey Decimal Classification, created by Melvin Dewey in 1876. The Dewey Decimal System organizes books by assigning each a numerical code based on its subject matter, facilitating browsing and retrieval by library users. Another important classification system is the Library of Congress classification, developed in the late 19th and early 20th century. This system, which is still widely used today, organizes resources according to a combination of letters and numbers representing subject areas and specific topics. These early classification systems laid the foundation for modern metadata practices in library science. Over time, metadata has evolved to encompass more sophisticated methods of description, organization, and management, adapting the ever-changing information landscape and the rise of digital resources. In the following slides, we will explore the main types of metadata used in library science and their specific applications. So, let's move on to the next slide. As we delve into metadata in library science, it's important to recognize the main types of metadata used in library classification. These types include descriptive metadata, structural metadata, administrative metadata, authority, provenance, and preservation metadata. Each of these types of metadata serves a specific purpose in the organization, management, and discovery of library resources. In the next few slides, we will discuss each type in more detail, providing examples and highlighting their significance within library classification systems. First, let's discuss descriptive metadata. Descriptive metadata provides information about the content and context of a resource. It helps users discover and identify resources that meet their information needs. Some common examples of descriptive metadata elements include author, the person, group, or organization responsible for creating the resource. Title, the name given to the resource, usually by the creator or publisher. Publication date, the date on which the resource was published or publicly available. Subject, the main topics, themes, or ideas covered by the resource. Keywords, words or phrases that describe the content of the resource, often used for indexing or search purposes. Descriptive metadata plays a critical role in library classification systems by enabling users to search for resources based on specific criteria. For example, a user might search for all books by a particular author on a specific subject, or on information published within a certain time frame. By providing them this information, descriptive metadata helps users navigate the vast array of resources available within a library and locate the materials most relevant to meet their needs. Now, let's move on to structural metadata. Structural metadata provides information about the internal organization and structure of a resource. It facilitates navigation and understanding of the resource's layout. Some common examples of structural metadata elements include chapters, the divisions or subdivisions of a book that break it down into smaller units. Sections, the parts of a chapter, article, or other written work that deal with a specific topic or theme. Pages, the individual sheets of paper, parchment, or other material on which a work is written or printed on. Timestamps, points in time that indicate specific moments or events within a multimedia file such as a video or audio recording. Structural metadata is particularly important for complex or multi-part resources, as it helps its users navigate the content more efficiently. By providing information about the organization and arrangement of a resource, structural metadata allows users to locate specific sections or segments of interest, enhancing their overall experience and understanding of a particular resource. The next type of metadata we'll be discussing is administrative metadata. Administrative metadata provides information about the management or preservation of a resource. It includes details such as creation data, creation date, the date on which the resource was created or originally produced, copyright status, information about the copyright holder, and any restrictions or permissions associated with the use of the resource. Access restrictions, any limitation on who can access or use the resource, such as age restriction, geographic limitations, or membership requirements. Format, the technical specifications of a resource, such as its file format, dimensions, or resolution. Administrative metadata helps libraries manage their collections and ensure long-term access to the resource. For example, information about copyright status and access restrictions can guide library staff in making decisions about resource acquisition, licensing, and usage. Additional format information can help libraries plan for preservation and digitization efforts or troubleshoot technical issues related to resource access. In these next few slides, we will continue to explore the various types of metadata used in library science, including authority, provenance, and preservation. Sorry, these words are really mixing me up a little bit, but I'm going to continue to try my best. So, let me try that again. In the next few slides, we will continue exploring the various types of metadata used in library science, including authority, provenance, and preservation metadata. And as I probably continue, you'll hear me go back and forth between metadata and metadata. I prefer to say metadata, but for some reason, I always refer back to metadata. So forgive me as I will continue to try my best to say metadata. So let's now discuss authority metadata. Authority metadata standardizes names, terms, and concepts used in cataloging and classification. This standardization helps maintain consistency in cataloging practices and makes it easier for users to find related resources. Some common examples of authority metadata include, and I almost did it again. Let me try that again. Some common examples of authority metadata include the Library of Congress subject headings, which are a controlled vocabulary used to represent subject matter in the library catalogs. Now, the Library of Congress subject heading terms are assigned to resources to help users find materials on specific topics, regardless of the variations in terminology that different creators or publishers might use. Take that in contrast with the Dewey Decimal Classification. DDC, or Dewey Decimal Classification, a widely used library classification system, organizes resources into numerical categories based on subject matter. DDC enables users to browse resources within a specific subject area and find related materials more easily. Authority metadata plays an important role in library classification systems by promoting consistency, enhancing discoverability, and improving the overall user experience. Moving on to provenance metadata. Provenance metadata documents the history of a resource such as ownership, custodial history, and changes made to it over time. This metadata is particularly important for rare or unique items, as it helps establish the authenticity, value, and significance of the resource. Some aspects of provenance metadata include ownership, information about the individuals or organization that have owned or held the resource over or at specific points in time over, again, and I will say over quite a few times here, various points in time. Custodial history, a record that shows the transfer of ownership, possession, or responsibility for the resource from one individual or organization to another over various points in time or a specific point in time. Thirdly, changes over time. Which is documentation or any altercation, additions, or removals made to the resource throughout its history, which is particularly useful in conservation treatments, annotations, or if the contents of it has been rebound. Rebinding is something that is particularly happening less or more frequently depending what field you're looking at. Provenance metadata not only provides context and background information about a resource, but also helps libraries make informed decisions about acquisition, preservation, and display of their collections. In our next slide, we will discuss preservation metadata and its importance in maintaining the long-term accessibility of library resources. As I mentioned earlier, these slides and lectures or presentations, however you would like to refer to these works of information, they will be getting a little longer from here on out, but bear with me, we are almost there. So let's talk about preservation metadata. Preservation metadata focuses on the long-term management, access, and preservation of resources, particularly digital materials. This type of metadata is crucial for ensuring the ongoing accessibility and usability of resources as technologies change and evolve. And I will say this is becoming more and more frequently as technologies continue to develop. Some common aspects of preservation metadata include digital preservation strategies, information about the methods and techniques employed to preserve digital resources, such as emulation, migration, or encapsulation. Secondly, file format migrations. And this is something that I will say is particularly of interest to me, and I am interested to see how this develops. So again, let me just say that one again. File format migrations. Documentation of any conversions or transformations of a resource's file format to ensure ongoing compatibility with current technologies. Also, checksums. Mathematical values generated from the contents of a file used to verify the integrity and authenticity of digital resources over time. Preservation metadata helps libraries monitor and maintain the long-term viability of their collections, ensuring that valuable resources remain accessible and usable for future generations. Therefore, I should say, as we've seen throughout this presentation, metadata or metadata plays a critical role in library classification and management. To ensure consistency, interoperability, and efficient sharing of information, libraries adhere to various metadata standards. These standards provide guidelines for the structure, content, and encoding of metadata records. Some widely adopted metadata standards in library science include MARC, machine-readable cataloging, a widely used standard for encoding bibliographic and authority data in library catalogs. MARC facilitates the exchange of catalog records between libraries and allows for the automation of cataloging processes. There's also Dublin Core, a simple and flexible metadata standard for describing a wide range of digital and physical resources. Dublin Core consists of 15 core elements such as title, creator, and date, which can be used to create basic descriptions of resources across different domains. There's also EAD, or Encoded Archival Description, a standard for encoding archival finding aids, which are documents that describe the content, structure, and context of archival collections. EAD enables the sharing of finding aids online and improves the discoverability of archival materials. There's also METS, Metadata or Metadata Encoding and Transmission Standard, a standard for encoding descriptive, administrative, and structural metadata for digital library objects. METS provides a flexible framework for representing complex digital resources and their associated metadata. And I don't know why I do this, because I can't, in my brain as I go, I can't just pick one, if you will. And people always tell me, just pick one. But as you could tell, as you get used to talking about this material, you might find yourself going to one or another. But again, I digress, and let's get back to it. METS itself provides a flexible framework for representing complex digital resources and their associated metadata. Adherence to metadata standards is essential, and I repeat, essential for libraries to ensure the efficient organization, management, and discovery of their resources, as well as to facilitate the sharing of information within and between institutions. In the following slides, we will discuss the challenges and future trends in metadata management within library science. Sorry about that. As we approach the end of the presentation, let's consider some of the challenges that libraries face in metadata management. These challenges include keeping pace with technological advancements. As technologies continue to evolve, libraries, specifically to provide that access to all of their benefit holders, users, professors, anyone else, right? Institutional partners, I should say. Libraries must adapt their metadata and practices to accommodate new formats, platforms, and user needs. Also, what about managing diverse and complex resources? Libraries are increasingly tasked with managing a vast array of resources, from traditional print materials to digital objects and multimedia resources. This requires the development and application of diverse metadata schemes and standards, ensuring data quality and consistency. Creating and maintaining accurate, consistent, and up-to-date metadata is crucial for the effective functioning of library classification systems. This can be a complex and time-consuming task, particularly if libraries continue to grow and evolve. Another challenge and future trend, I will say, is this: balancing privacy concerns and openness. Libraries, and I will say those that run libraries or any sort of institution that has any sort of board of governors, will have to navigate the delicate balance between providing access to resources and, this can't be emphasized enough, respecting the privacy of their users, particularly in the context of digital materials, and this is also going to become increasingly common in the future, user-generated metadata or metadata. Addressing these challenges will require ongoing efforts, collaborations, and innovation within the library community, the community at large, stakeholders, politicians, and all of us. So go ahead and breathe, everyone. I know this has been a good amount of information, and there's even more information to come. But let's go ahead and bring us to a conclusion, which is to understand the importance of metadata in library science. Also, the continuous development and adaptation of metadata practices to meet the needs of modern information environments. And what I mean by that is this. The landscape is going to be continually changing. Partnerships are going to be continually growing. Consortiums, which are legal partnerships, if you will, to benefit all of the institutions usually in that legal agreement, will continue to become a growing thing. And as all these things happen, things will become increasingly complex. So one thing I would encourage you in this presentation and in the ones to come is to really take the time to possibly rewatch the information, learn it, and understand how everything is building off of the past presentation. And things will get a little bit more complex from here on out, but bear with me. It will get easier. I will encourage you at some point to start practicing yourself, and no, you can always come back and rewatch these presentations. I created this information for everyone who's viewing it. So let's go ahead and move on to our last and final slide. In summary, I want to say this. Metadata, or let me start over. Sorry about that. In summary, metadata is an essential aspect of library classification and management with a rich history and promising future. By understanding and harnessing the power of metadata, libraries and people at large can continue to thrive in the digital age, providing access to information and knowledge for users around the world. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have enjoyed the presentation on traditional metadata and metadata in library science. I'll see you in the next one.